how long to feel the effects of BPC-157. So in this video, I'm going to unpack what BPC-157 is, the conditions, like how quick you'll notice an impact from maybe using BPC-157 for gut issues, for tendon and ligament injuries, for muscle recovery, and just for overall body composition and feeling great. Because I love BPC-157. It's probably the most universal peptide known. And so what I want to do is unpack things for you so that you can confidently know if you're using BPC-157 correctly and if you actually have the real BPC-157. There's a lot of analogs out there that are fragments of the entire structure. It's 15 amino acid chains. Body protective complex is what it's called. But you'll know if you're not getting the right BPC or if you're not using the right dosing if you don't notice the effects in the time periods that we'll talk about today. So I'm Regan Archibald. I'm the founder of Ageless Future. Our goal is to help you get your health as optimized as possible in the shortest amount of time possible without risking future health. And so you can go to agelessfuture.com, find out all about us there. But let's jump into BPC-157. Out of Zagreb, Croatia, University of Zagreb, they looked at this molecule that was what they considered a panacea. They're saying, what molecule in the body could allow the body to heal faster than almost anything? And they landed on BPC-157. And they did that, and they called it body protective complex because every cell has a receptor site for it. And this was in the 90s. And then they started doing all these nuanced tests. And they started to see that, wow, it's made by the gastric secretion, so it's made by your stomach. They found that it helps heal connective tissue, it repairs the vascularity in your blood, it helps activate growth hormone receptors, so you get a little bit more of a IGF-1 expression. They also found that it had neuroprotective benefits, it's a dopamine modulator. I mean, they just were so excited about this for good reason. And there's a reason why BPC, even no matter how hard the pharmaceutical complex tries to shut off the supply of this, it's something that has saved people's lives. I mean, the quality of life when you use BPC-157, your quality of life will go up like 10 or 15% just from one single molecule that no lethal dose has ever been established on. They tried to kill rodents with the BPC, but it's a natural protein that exists in your body. Your body just breaks down what it doesn't need. And so it seems to be very safe, very well tolerated. Even the whole cancer scare that people keep throwing out there, that's just not founded in good science because BPC cleans up the blood vessels. It turns off those molecules that the cancer cells can then recruit energy from, like the tumor necrosis factor alpha, the IL-6. It cleans up the blood vessels so your body can fight back. So it's this beautiful protective complex, but how quick can you feel the results? Well, if you're using it for acid reflux, you're going to notice results within 24 to 48 hours in the majority of cases that I've seen. Now, this may mean that as you're taking it, if you do get acid reflux, let's say you get acid reflux in the evening, and you're taking oral BPC-157, which is generally the best way to utilize BPC for certain gut conditions. It's stronger. Now, I know this. Some people are going to blow up the chat box here, which is fine. I'll try to get to the answers as quickly as we can. But the oral version, we've seen patients who've had acid reflux for 20 years, and they don't want to be on the proton pump inhibitor. They don't like the acid blockers. They don't want the downstream impacts of having loss of proteostasis and poor nutrient sensing from these drugs. They also don't want to end up with osteoporosis, which are all side effects, well-documented side effects from taking these acid blockers. They notice that within a single dose, that the acid reflux goes down. You want to make sure that you're using like betaine hydrochloride. We use a supplement called HCl Prozyme, and it's got some of the bile salts in there, so you're emulsifying the salt. You're also breaking down some of the proteins with the enzymes, and then that hydrochloric acid is really critical because most of the time that acid reflux is from too low amounts, poor volume of stomach acidity, not too much. In a lot of cases, you've got H. pylori, you've got a bacteria, you've got a bug that's triggering it. So if you can use the betaine hydrochloride, use BPC-157, you'll notice within 24 to 48 hours. Now, some of you may want to go from 500 micrograms to 1 milligram. And so test the dosing on this. But if you're not experiencing it within 48 hours, increase it. You can go even up to 2 milligrams orally. And then you can taper that dose back down as your stomach and digestive system starts to heal. Get to the root cause, though. Make sure that you're taking a functional medicine approach. The connective tissue is very interesting. One of the things they did out of the University of Zagreb is they looked at the Achilles tendon. The study is called Stable Gastric Pentadecapeptide, BPC-157, accelerates healings of transected rats' Achilles tendons. This was done in 2011. What they did is they surgically cut the Achilles tendons of rats and then treated them with BPC-157 injections. And what they found is that versus the control group, the tendons showed significantly faster healing responses, improved biomechanical strength, and denser collagen organization, confirming BPC's direct tendon regenerative effects. Now, this has been documented in rabbits too. They did the same thing where they injured the Achilles tendons of rabbits, and they found that just by injecting BPC, they had about a 3 times faster healing rate than they did in the control group. So this is interesting. And you're like, well, I'm not a rabbit and I'm not a mouse, but we actually have rabbits and mouses who listen. So I want them to be represented as well. All right, so how fast on leaky gut? Here's a study that they did, once again, at 2007, University of Zagreb in Croatia. Now these are, they have the full molecule. They have the acetylation properly. You're not getting a fragment of BPC. So what they're doing is they found that this study is called Stable Gastric Pentadecapeptide. BPC-157 heals esophagitis, gastric ulcers, and leaky gut. Now, this is where they tested in animal models where they induced gastric injury and acid reflux, and they found that BPC-157 rapidly protected and repaired the gut lining, prevented ulcer formations, and restored normal gastric function. Once again, these are animal models. It doesn't always translate. It rarely does. That's unfortunate because mice are in this protected environment. They don't have these survival cues. I mean, it's not really relevant, but what we've seen clinically is, like I mentioned with acid reflux, 24 to 48 hours. What I saw with my rotator cuffs, I've had 4 rotator cuff tears. The first rotator cuff tear, I didn't even know what BPC-157 was. That was 14 years ago. So I tore my other one about 4 years later, and that's when I already knew what BPC was. And I started using BPC with stem cells, and it took what was a fast healing window. It took me about 90 days to get to full recovery. For my first rotator cuff, I was able to shrink that down to about 6 weeks or 45 days when I had BPC-157 with it. What we've seen clinically is if it's minor tear, minor strain, ligament strains, you're going to see a rapid healing response that will get you recovered 2 to 3 times faster. Now, this is where you want to be using a full milligram of a dose injected into the area. In some cases, we'll go 2 milligrams. I have clients inject directly into areas where they have pain and injury, and it seems to accelerate the healing response. If you're worried about breaking something, or if you don't know anatomy and you don't want you to inject right into a tendon where it's attaching to the bone, don't do it there. Just do it in your abdomen. Work with a doctor who knows exactly how to get BPC-157 into the area that's damaged so you can activate the nitric oxide, the VEGF, you can promote this angiogenic property, and you're going to get better blood vessels. And if you think about how the body heals, all your hormones, all your nutrients, all your peptides are flowing through your blood supply. And then your blood's also eliminating waste. And BPC helps protect your gut, so you're not going to have all those pesky infections that just cause your body to get more toxic. So BPC, from a tendon and ligament perspective, if you're not noticing within 24 hours a small reduction of pain, 5 to 10%, you probably didn't dose it high enough. And if you notice you're not getting the momentum, or after 2 weeks, you're like, I'm not up to 50%, then you need to increase the dose, or you need to change the location that you're injecting. Very simple. If you're looking for muscle recovery after a workout, you'll notice on the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, if you stack BPC-157 with thymosin beta-4, TB500, what you're going to notice is the DOMS goes away instantly. When I first started using the Wolverine stack, I was shocked because I said, wow, I have no soreness, and I thought I just slacked off on my workout, but it was a CrossFit WOD, so I could go back and look at my times. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I actually did it faster and actually had a little more weight on than the last time I did this WOD. Then I don't have soreness. This is a miracle. And it has been a miracle for me because I want to work out every day. And I want my body to recover because workout puts a lot of stress on your blood vessels. And what BPC and thymus beta-4 do together is they help heal the blood vessels faster. But even BPC-157 alone, when I used that and cycled off TB4, it's incredible because I still don't have the same level of soreness. So you'll notice that within a single day. So it's not a peptide where you need to wait for 3 months and just keep hoping and praying that it's going to work. It's something that you can notice right away. And so if you found this video interesting, if there's other conditions, you're like, hey, how soon for, brain issues? Well, that's another one. Cognitively, it's a little more nuanced, but people will notice more cognitive clarity within about 3 days of using BPC. It just depends on how depleted you are in growth hormone. So look at your IGF-1 levels. If they're below 200, it may take longer. But if they're above 200, you're going to activate that dopamine modulation within a day of using it. It's a phenomenal peptide. And so if you want to go deeper in this, what I've done is I provided a link for a free copy of my book, The Peptide Blueprint, and we'll go deep into different peptides, how to use it in your overall wellness journey. I'm Regan Archibald. I'll see you on the next video.